Hello everyone, my name is DJ and I'm back with one more Blender tutorial. Even though the main subject of my channel is creating AR experiences using Metaspark AR and Effect House, I also like to make some Blender tutorials because I think it's very important when you want to become one AR creator to know how to model a 3D object, right? So the software I use to create 3D objects is Blender because it's free, okay, but you can use any other software that you like, but here I teach you only Blender, okay? And in today's tutorial I decided to create these eyeglasses, these sunglasses here. I just searched on Google sunglasses and I found these ones here that I think they look nice. And also because I found some good reference images for these glasses. There is a side view, top view. I'm gonna show you here when we start modeling it. If you're a beginner in Blender, I'm gonna leave here in the description a link for my other Blender tutorial where we model one microphone. Actually, this microphone here I'm using right now, I don't know if you can see it, this one here. And there I try to be more beginner friendly, so the tutorial took I think 5 videos, each video around 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So if you are a beginner, go check that tutorial. And in this tutorial I want it to last only for one video. I don't want it to be longer than one video, okay? So I think that's all I have to say right now, and let's get started. I'm gonna also leave in the description of the video a link with the reference images, okay? Let me just delete these ones here. And here we have the starting scene in Blender, right? When you open Blender, that's what you're gonna see. I'm gonna delete everything right now. And let's import our reference images, okay? And before import the reference image, it's important that you change it to this view here, okay? You can click here in the gizmo in the y direction, okay? So it's gonna be on top of the y axis, okay? And we can also tap 1 in the numpad, okay? Then you will automatically go to this view. And let me just activate here the screencast keys, so you can see everything I type here, okay? You're gonna see here everything I do with my mouse. You're gonna see here. So just in case you get lost, you can always stop the video, pause the video, and check here what I tapped. Okay, so let's import. Let's press Shift A and let's import a reference image. So let's import this one for the front view. Okay, so we have this one here. GUI, let's position it a little bit back here. Now let's go to the side view. So to go to the side view, you can press here on the X, or you can press 3 on the numpad. So Shift A, let's import the side view reference image. I'm gonna use this one here. Okay. This one here. Let me position around the middle of the cursor here. I think it's fine. Let's drag it. Let's also drag it a little back here. Yeah, I think that's all we need for now. Okay, if you need to see more details, you can use this other small images here. Okay, but right now let's just use these 2 images. Okay, now that we have our reference images, let's start modeling. Okay, let's just keep things organized and let's create a new collection. Right click, create new. I'm gonna name this one reference images. I'm gonna name this reference image as front view. And this other one, I'm gonna name it side view. Let's drag it inside the reference image collection. And let's create another collection for the glasses. And to start, let's add a cube. Okay, so Shift A to add a mesh, and let's pick cube. So we have our cube here, and let's make it around the size of the glasses, like the border of the glasses, right? So let's click in the cube, press S to scale it down. Let's go to the front view here. It's always good to work in the front view, so you can see the reference image. So press GZ to move it around here. Let's try to align it with the reference image. I'm gonna move the reference image just a little bit left, so it's right in the middle of our cube, around this. Make it a little smaller. Okay. And now let's make it thinner. So let's decrease in the Y direction. So press S and Y, so you can only decrease the size in the Y direction, okay? So I think around this width here, it's gonna be the width of the eyeglasses. I think it's fine around this. And because the right side of the eyeglasses, it's the same as the left side, we're gonna use the mirror modifier, okay? And to use the mirror modifier, let's divide this cube into parts first. So select the cube, go to edit mode, pressing tab, okay? And now press Ctrl R and add this loop cut here in the middle of your cube. So now let's delete half of our cube. So click here in the X-ray mode. So when we box select those vertices here, it's gonna select also the vertices on the back, okay? So select these vertices, press X, and choose vertices to delete all of them, okay? So now we only have half of our cube, and now we can add our mirror modifier. So let's add the mirror, okay, and select here the option clipping. This way both sides will be connected, okay? You can't separate them. Okay, now let me adjust the size a little bit here. Oops, don't forget select X-ray mode, okay? When you want to select both sides, you always need to choose X-ray mode here. And I want to drag those bottom vertices a little up, so it's very similar to the height of the reference image. Okay, now we can start modeling it. So now we're gonna have to follow this path here, okay, following the borders of the eyeglasses. And to do this, let's select those 4 vertices here, or we can select the face, okay? Select this face here and press E to extrude, okay? And let's try to follow the reference image. So I extrude it, and now I can drag it up a little, GZ, following the reference image always. So let's extrude it again, press E, don't forget to select this face, or select here the 4 vertices, okay, like this, and press extrude again until around here, because there we need to make this curve. So let's extrude it to around here. Let me move those vertices up a little. And now let's extrude one more time, trying to follow this curve here. Press E again. Gonna try to extrude until here. And now let's move only the vertices to try to make this curve like this. Select all vertices again. Remember that the X-ray mode is activated. So when I box select, I select both those front vertices and the back vertices here. So let's press E again. Let's move these vertices again. Try always to follow the reference image. Like this. And let's keep extruding. Now we can fix this angle to follow the reference image. And here let's do the same thing we did at the top in that curve. Let's try to make it follow the curve here. So extrude it again. Move those vertices. Keep extruding and dragging those vertices to follow the reference image. Extrude, move those vertices. I'm trying to keep it low poly, so it's gonna be easy to manipulate those vertices after, if you need to adjust something. Let's extrude it again. We are almost there. Let me adjust here. And in this region, we're gonna have that part where the glasses are on top of the nose, right? This region here. Oops. The region here. So I like to leave. Let me go back to the eyeglasses. So I like to leave this region here around this size, because after we're gonna extrude that part in the back of the eyeglasses. Okay. So now let's finish with this curve. Let's, oops, what did I do here? Let me undo this step. Okay. Let's extrude. And this part, you're gonna have to connect the two sides. So extrude one more time. And reconnect it. If you want to select the entire edge loop, you can press Alt and click in one edge. So you select the entire ring. You see it? So if you want to drag the entire ring to one side or to the other side, just press GG. and it's gonna slide like this. I want it to put in the middle. Okay. And I think we're good for now. Let's go back to object mode. Let me remove here the X-ray mode. And the frame, it's done. At least this front part here, it's done. And now let's apply the subdivision modifier. Okay, select your frame and let's add the subdivision surface modifier. Let's increase here the level to 2. I think it's fine. And right click and press shade smooth. Okay, I'm gonna remove my camera because I'm in front of this region here. Okay, now you can see it better. And you may have noticed that when we apply the subdivision, okay, here is before and here is after. You can see that the frame became like thinner because the corners like became too round. And if you check here in the reference images, oops, this one here, you can see that the frame is not so thin, right? It has like a thickness. It's a little thicker than that here. It's thicker and the borders are not so round. So to fix this, select your frame. Let's go back to edit mode. And we can add one loop cut here in the middle of the frame in this direction. Okay, like this. So it's not so round, maybe even more than one. So let's undo that and press Ctrl R. So add one loop here and scroll your mouse wheel. So you're gonna add 2 loop cuts. Okay, and you can see it's not so thin anymore here in the border. And I think we're fine now. And I think I'm gonna add just one more subdivision. So let's go to level 3. Okay. And now it's perfect. So the base of our frame is done, but we have to fix one thing here. That's a very common problem when we are using mirror modifier, is that we forget to delete this middle face. So if you pay attention here, there's some shading problem here in the middle where both sides connect. So let's go to edit mode. And if you check here in the X-ray mode, you can see that we didn't delete this face in the middle. Okay. And because we add those loop cuts here, it created more 2 faces. So let's delete all those faces, 3 faces here in the middle. Okay. Press X and choose faces. And we fix that problem. Okay. And now let's make this region here of the frame. Okay. The nose part. So to do this, let's select this back face here and extrude. Okay, press E to extrude. To around here. So to go to the front view, it's number 1 in the numpad. And if you want to go to the back view, you have to press Ctrl and 1 again. Okay. Let me hide the reference image because it is on the way. And now you can see the back side of our eyeglasses. And what I want to do is to drag this edge, okay, this edge here, a little down. So press GG so you can slide it. And the same thing with the bottom one. GG, slide it up like this. So we have a rounder shape. So I think we're fine here. Maybe let's select this loop here. Pressing Alt and clicking on edge, select this entire loop. Oh, it's missing this edge here, so press Shift so you can select this loop, this edge as well. And I think I'm gonna drag it down a little. Okay, so press GG. Okay, around here. So I think we're fine. Let me see. Let's drag this face. So press G and move it a little down. Okay, it doesn't need to be perfect, it's just a detail here. But I'm trying to make it very similar to the reference image. And the reference image seems very like circular, this region here. I'm gonna drag it just a little more in the Y direction. So GY. Okay. And let's also add one loop cut here in the middle of the frame. Okay. Perfect. And now let's extrude one more region here of the frame. Because if you can see here in the reference image, the side part of the frame is a little wider, like the width is longer. It still has more thickness. So let's select all those faces here in the back. And extrude it as well. Like this. I think it's a little bit too thick. So let's select these edges and press Alt S to move it along the normals. Like this. Okay. So it's not so thick. Maybe select those ones here. Let's do the same, Alt S. And to make this curve sharper, let's add another loop cut here. So Ctrl R, and let's loop cut here. Okay, now I think this region here is too sharp. So let's select these vertices here. Okay, let me go to the back view again, hide the reference image, and let's move it maybe here. GG, and let's drag it so it doesn't get so sharp. Yeah, it's better now. Same thing here at the bottom. GG, let's slide it a little to the left. Okay, and perfect. Our frame is done, and now let's move on to this middle part here, this middle piece, this little piece here in the middle. It's gonna be easy, just a rectangle here in the middle. So let's add a new cube, Shift A, cube, press S to scale it down, GZ to move it along the Z-axis. Keep scaling down. X-ray mode. Need to scale it down in the y-axis now, right? So SY. So it gets like thin, like this. Front view again. And SZ to scale in the Z direction. Okay, you need to move it to the front a little bit. So GY. Around here. Yeah, I think that's it. So I just need to add a bevel now. So let's add a modifier. Let's add a bevel modifier. And it's looking a bit weird because we need to apply the scale. So select your piece, press Ctrl A, and apply scale. Okay. And now let's increase the amount of segments to 2 or 3. 3. Okay, right click, shade smooth. Okay. And we are done here. Okay, now let's move on to the arms of the eyeglasses. Those side parts here. And before we move on, let me just adjust here the size of the rims to make it very similar to the reference image. Okay, so let's select here the X-ray mode, and we can drag some vertices around to try to shape it exactly like the reference image. Here in the nose, I'm gonna add another edge loop here. So it's not so round in this region. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's move on to the side. So let's add a new cube, and let's rename this first cube here, the frame, as rim, and this one's gonna be, I don't know, like I'm gonna call it arm. Not sure the right name for this part of the glasses. And this other one's gonna be like the middle piece. Okay, now select your cube and go to edit mode. Okay, so this way, if you go to edit mode, when we move our cube, the origin point of the cube gonna stay on the same place. So let's move it to the right. To go to the top view, I press 7 in the numpad, okay? Or you can press here and Z on the gizmos. Now let me scale it down. I'm gonna try to make it around this size here. Let's add the mirror modifier. So everything we do in this side, we're gonna affect the left side as well. Here we don't need to activate clipping because those parts won't touch each other. Let's scale it down along the X axis like this. Let's move those vertices to follow the reference image. Now let's select both faces here, this one and this one, and press I to inset. Okay, till around here. I think it's okay. Yeah, press I to inset and right click and select the option Bridge Faces. So you can open this hole here in this frame. And now let's add the subdivision modifier and let's move things around here. Okay, let's bevel those corners. Let's do it manually without using the modifier because I want to have more control here of the bevels. So select all those edge loops, pressing Alt and Shift, okay, and selecting those edges. Remember that this mode here needs to be selected, okay, the edge select mode. And now with all corners selected, press Ctrl B and slide the mouse up a little. Yeah, I think this amount is good. Maybe 4. Okay, like this. And now let's just move vertices around here to make it follow the shape of the reference image. So let's move this here, move this here. Just trying to follow the shape of the reference image. Right click and shade smooth. Let's add edge loops here in the middle. Ctrl R and slide the mouse up like this. And same thing here in the inner side. Let's add 2 edge loops. Let's see the result. Yeah, I'm still thinking that's too thin. So let's select those inner faces here. So pick the select face mode here, pressing 3 on the keyboard. And let's select this entire ring and press S to scale it down a little more, like this. And now we can select this edge loop here and scale it down a little too. Same thing here in the inner side. Okay, we're done. I'm gonna adjust this reference image to make its size match the size of our model. So let's get it up, move it around here, scale it up a little more. Okay, so it's around this size. So now you can go back to edit mode and scale this side frame here. Okay, it's around this size, right? Okay, it's around here. And you can see here there's another piece covering the side of the eyeglasses. We're gonna do it later, okay? It's like this. Now let's do this part. Okay, for this part, let's I think I'm gonna create another cube. Okay, I was thinking about extruding one face from here, but it's gonna be easier if we create another cube, another piece, right? This is too thick. Let me decrease it in the x-axis. Press S and X like this. A little more. I think we're fine now. I'm gonna add another loop here. Okay, let's create another cube. Shift A, mesh, cube. And let's do the same thing. Let's go to edit mode. Let me position it here, scale it down. Scale it down. Let's add the mirror modifier. Like this. Side view. Scale it down to around here. Let's scale it down in the x-axis. SX. Like this, a little more. Like this. Let's move this face until here. And you can see there's a thicker part here connecting this region with this one. So to do that, let's delete this face here. X face. Let's select only the border. Let's extrude. Press E and S to scale it up. Okay. Let's scale it down in the Z axis. Okay, along the Z axis. Like this. Maybe it needs to be a little bigger. So press S again. Yeah, I think this size is okay. And now press E to extrude. Press Y. So it's going to extrude along the Y direction, right? And let's extrude it again. But this time I'm going to press S to scale it down. And extrude it again. Hold Y. Just a little bit. And extrude it again. Press S to scale. And extrude it again. Press Y. And I think we're fine. Maybe let's move a little more in the Y direction. And press E again to extrude one more time. Press S. Scale it down. And now we're gonna have to extrude this piece here, okay? So let's do it. Extrude. Okay. Let me drag it until here. Press S. Scale it down a little. And let's extrude one more time. Let's make this curve. So let's extrude one more time. Let's adjust those vertices. Extrude one more time. And the last time, the last extrusion here at the tip. And we need to close this face, right? So select the entire loop and press F to fill it. Okay, it's missing this portion here. Let me try a different approach. Let this extrude like this. And let's select this loop here of faces. And let's go to face and extrude it along normals. Okay, like this. Okay. Let's align with this other piece here. Okay, we can now add one subdivision to see how it will look. Okay, level 2 of subdivision, and let's fix those parts here that needs to be sharper, right? Adding some edge loops. So let's add one edge loop here in both sides, okay? Like this. Same thing here. And here. And here in the middle as well, can add 2. Press S, Y. And on the sides as well. One here and one here. Same thing, this one. Let's keep adding those support loops. Where else? Maybe here. Let me adjust these vertices. And now let's add some edge loops in this direction. Let's add 2 edge loops. So scroll your mouse up like this, and you can press S, X to spread those edge loops like this. Okay, you can also add edge loops on the sides. So let's do the same. So let's add one edge loop here, drag it up, and another one, and drag it to the bottom like this. Now this is not so round. Let me delete this edge loop, press X and dissolve edges like this. Okay, I think we are better now. Now let's create the lenses, right? Let's create the lenses for this. I don't know if it's a lens here, but it's like a glass. So let's add that part. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create one edge loop here in the middle. I think I'm gonna just use a plane to create those lenses here. So let's add one plane here inside edit mode. Okay, so it's gonna be part of this mesh. Let's add one plane, Shift A, plane. Let's move it to the side. Let's rotate 90 degrees around the y-axis, so R, Y, and 90. Let me scale it down. And let's add some support loops here in this lens. S, Y, like this. Okay, I think now we can just adjust. Oops, select those vertices here. SZ to scale in the Z direction. Same thing with these ones here. These ones. Let's move it here. And to add some depth, we need to select the entire lens. So choose the select face mode, and with your mouse hovering on top of it, press L. So you're gonna select only the connected faces here of the lenses. And let's extrude. Let's extrude. Let me move this piece here because this region is blocking my view. Okay, here's the lenses. Let's add a few support loops here. Okay, I think we're fine. Let me just make it thinner. So SY, oops, SX. Okay, like this. And let's move it back to its position. Okay, so we have the lenses. And now let's create the main lenses here for the eyeglasses. Okay, and for this one, let's select this middle edge here. Press Shift D to duplicate. I'm gonna press P to separate, so it's gonna be a different mesh. Okay. Let's go back to object mode. Let's rename it to lenses. And I'm gonna remove this clipping option. Let me hide here the rim and this middle piece. And let's make it follow the shape of the lenses. Okay, let me connect those two vertices. So select both vertices and press M, and let's merge at center. Okay, and now I can select all vertices, and let's go here to grid fill and select grid fill. If your grid fill doesn't work, it's maybe because you need to add one more vertex. Okay, add or remove one more vertex. Okay, now you have here the shape. Let me move some vertices around. This curve here is too sharp. Let's try to make it smoother. Yeah, I think we're fine now. But right now these lenses are too flat, right? They're flat. We need to make it more curve. So select this middle vertex here. Let's go to the proportional editing. Let's select sphere. And let's press G. You can control the area affected, scrolling your mouse. And press Y, so we're gonna affect in the Y direction like this. Oops. You want just to make it a little rounder, not so flat. Yeah, I think we're okay. And now we can extrude it. So press E to extrude. And we have our lenses. Let me bring back the rim and this middle piece. Yeah, we need to add some support loops to our lenses as well. So let's add one loop here in the middle. I think that's okay. And let's make it a little bigger. Press S to scale. Let's remove the proportional editing. Press S to scale it up a little. Okay. And let's move it back. Y. Around here. Yeah, maybe it is too thick, these lenses. So press SY. Like this. GY. Okay, now we have our lenses. Can adjust some vertex positions here. GY. I'm using the proportional editing so we can affect those vertices around the vertices we are moving. Okay, I think we're fine now. Okay, now to finish the modeling, let's model this piece here on the side of the rim. Okay, so let's go back here to the frame of the glasses. And I think I'm gonna duplicate these faces here. Okay, I'm gonna hide those arms so it doesn't get in the way. Okay, let's keep selecting those faces until here, I think. Maybe a little more. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna press Shift D to duplicate those faces. I'm gonna move it in the Y direction, so GY. Oops, let's deactivate the proportional editing. Let's move again, GY. Around here. I want to make it thicker, wider, so SY, GY, maybe even more thicker, SY, like this. I'm gonna separate it to another mesh, so let's select everything, pressing L, so it's gonna select only the faces that are connected to each other, and press P and choose the option selection. Okay, now let's go back to object mode and let's name it to, I'm gonna call it metal piece. Let's go back to edit mode and let's try to make it similar to the reference image here. So first I'm gonna try to align those vertices. It's two vertices here. So press SX 0. Okay, they're aligned now. Same thing here on the bottom. SX 0. I'm gonna add another edge here. Press Ctrl R to do that. And let's drag this edge. I'm gonna use proportional editing. Let's drag it above the frame here. Let's manually do that. Press G. Let's move this one as well. Same thing here at the bottom. So Ctrl 7 to get the bottom view. And let's drag this edge to around here. And let's add another edge here. Press Ctrl R and drag it to around here so it doesn't get so round. Okay, and same thing here at the top. Ctrl R. And you see that it's clipping through the frame. So let's select those faces. And let's drag it up a little bit. G, Z. Okay. Like this. Maybe it is too thick. And maybe I should drag it more to the left here. So I'm gonna select those faces. Let's go to the top view. Maybe slide it here. G. And let's make it thinner. Let's remove the proportional editing. Yeah, I think we're fine now. And we can do the same at the bottom. Those vertices. Okay, there is a little space between those pieces right here in the reference image. So maybe I should leave it like that. Let me take a closer look. Yeah, I think there's a little bump here as well. So we can do that. Select this face is here. And just drag it in the Y direction. So GY. Okay. I think we're good now. And we can add some depth to this piece. Let me try a solidify modifier. Okay. Very good now with the solidify modifier here. Right? Yeah. I think we're good. If you want to get even more detailed, we can try to model this little piece where the screws are attached here. You see the screws are attached in this piece here. We can try to do that. Just in case we want to render our glasses really close, like we want to use the camera to hover around the glass like this. So you can try to make those little pieces. Okay. But in this reference image, you can't see exactly how it looks. So I'm gonna guess the shape a little bit here. Okay, let's try. I'm gonna add a cube, Shift A, cube, and let's try to make this piece. I'm gonna hide all the rest so it doesn't get on the way. So let's press SY, scale it down in the Y direction, and I'm gonna go to edit mode, add one loop cut here in the middle, and I'm gonna extrude this face here. So press E to extrude in the Z direction, this Z, and now let's make this face round. So to do this, let's select those two edges on this side and this in the left side as well. So Ctrl B. I'm gonna scroll the middle button of the mouse up, so this portion gets like smoother. Okay, that's how I imagine this piece here. Okay, I can see. I couldn't find a better picture of this piece, so I think it looks like that. And the screw is on top of this area here. So now let's try to position it on the frame. I'm gonna add a bevel modifier. Okay. Bevel modifier. 3 segments. Let's decrease it a little bit like this. And shade smooth. Now let's scale it down. Let's add also a mirror modifier, right? And let's go to edit mode. Let's select everything, press A, GX, and let's try to position it in the right position. So let's rotate it, press R, X, and 90. Oops, press R, X, and -90. Like this. Let's scale it down a little more. GY. And let's see if it is in the right position. Where's that side part? Here. GZ is gonna be around here. Maybe should scale it up in the Z direction. So SZ. Like this. And also in the bottom part. So Shift D to duplicate and GZ. Drag it to around here. GZ. And GX. Drag it here. So we have those pieces. And if we pay attention really close here to the reference image, there's like also an extrusion here around the lenses, right? Can you see it? So maybe we should do that to make it even more realistic, or no? Yeah, we would have to add one loop cut here. Around here. Drag it closer to the border. Like this. Select those faces. These ones here. And extrude it. Like this. Should we make this smaller then? Maybe I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Those pieces. So I'm gonna select only this one. Pressing L. Like this. And this other one as well. Press S. Oops. Select only this one. Press S. Okay, now you can position the arms of the glasses. So let's reveal everything. And let's attach this piece to this one here. So to do that, let's first select this one. Holding Shift, select this other piece. And press Ctrl B. And choose Keep Transform. Okay. So every time you move this piece, the other piece is gonna move together. So now let's go to edit mode and see if it's gonna work. Press A, select everything, and G to move. In edit mode, the object transform doesn't work. It's fine, we can do it later. Okay, let's move it a little more. GX. Maybe should we make it thinner? S. X. This region is still clipping through here. So I think I'm gonna rotate it a little. Press A, and let's rotate in the Y direction. So R, Y. Let's move it in the Y direction a little bit here. Let's go back a little, like this, I think. Okay. So let me select this piece again. Gonna press L to select everything. Scale it up. Like this. GY, GX, SX. Same thing with the bottom piece. Like this. This is the annoying part, right? This, the little details. And because the reference image doesn't help, now I'm gonna move this bevel a little bit more to the side here. So let me hide the subdivision modifier so you can see better those edges. Okay. So these edges here. I'm gonna press GG to slide it closer to the border. Same thing with those edges. These ones here. Oops, select the entire loop. Let's manually select them. GG. And this inner loop as well. GG. And GX. Okay, let me activate the subdivision modifier again. Okay. Yeah, because now we have more space to add this little piece here. It's an annoying piece. I'm already regretting of having added this. Okay, looks fine now. Just need to adjust this piece now. So let's go to edit mode. Let's select everything and rotate in the right direction a little bit more. Let me try this to make this piece thinner. SX, GX, okay. Okay, it's gonna stay like that. Let's keep it like that. That's enough. I'm gonna have to fix this piece here. Let's go to edit mode, select everything, and let's try to align with this piece. GX, GY. Before we align with this other piece, let's scale it down in the X direction. Make it thinner like this. Okay. And now you can rotate R, Y, GY. Okay, now you're fine. Now if you move this piece, move everything together. Let's take another look. So what I see is that there are two pieces here, one at the top and one at the bottom, coming out of this piece. This one, right? One piece come at the top and another at the bottom, and there is like a screw in the middle. So to do those pieces, I'm gonna just copy this region here of this one. So I'm gonna select only this half part here. Using the X-ray mode, select everything, press Shift D to duplicate, press P, separate, selection, and let's go back to object mode. Let's go back to edit mode with this other piece selected, and let's adjust it. Let me hide this metal piece. Let's adjust it now. Rotate in the Z direction 90 degrees. Like this. Drag it up. Here. Gonna make it thinner. SZ. And the same thing at the bottom. So Shift T to duplicate, and GZ to drag it in the Z direction, like this. And let's do the same thing at the bottom. So Shift T one more time, Shift T, GZ, GX. To focus on the piece you are moving around or you are working with, press the dot in the numpad, okay? So sometimes when you want to zoom closer to your object and you get stuck in the middle, you can zoom more. You can just press this little dot here in the numpad. Z. Let's duplicate it again. Z one more time. Okay. I think we are fine. And now we finished it, okay? If you want, you can also add one little screw here, but I'm not gonna do it right now. If you have time, I can do it in the end. Because now I want to fix the pivot point of the arm to around here. So when we rotate the arm, it's gonna rotate around this axis here, okay? Like a real glasses. So you can fold it and open the arm of the glass. So let's try to do that. So I'm gonna save the project. And before applying our modifiers here, we're gonna need to apply the mirror modifier. To do that, let's create a new collection. I'm gonna call it backup. Let's name it backup. Okay, let's go to object mode. Let's select everything. We have also select this portion here that is inside the arm. So don't forget to select that piece as well. Okay, holding Ctrl, you can select it. And press now Shift D. And we duplicate everything. And let's just drag all the duplicated pieces to the backup collection. And now let's hide the backup collection. Also uncheck the render option here. So when we render, the backup won't be rendered together, okay? So what should we do now? Oh, yeah. Let's apply the mirror modifiers in those pieces. Apply. Let's also apply the mirror modifier in this piece here. This one. Oops. Okay. I'm not sure if I duplicated this piece 2 times here. Yeah. Yeah, I duplicated this. I don't know when. I don't remember. So let me hide it. And let's apply the mirror modifier in this one. Okay. So apply. Okay, so now we have these 2 pieces and let's separate them. So let's go back to editing mode. I'm gonna select the right side, okay? So choose the X-ray mode, select everything, all the faces, and press P to separate selection. Okay, let's go back to object mode and let's see. Okay, it's separated now, but this piece is not attached to it anymore. So let's separate these ones as well. Let's go to edit mode, select the right side, press P, selection. Yeah, both. So both are attached to the left side. So to fix this, to remove it from here, right? Select this piece, go to object, parent, and clear parent. So it's gonna delete that parenting and it's gonna be free now. Okay. And let's parent to this one, to the right side. Okay. So I'm gonna name it arm right. Okay, and select this piece, select the arm, press Ctrl P, and object, keep transform. And now you can see they are attached to each other. And in the left side, let's just rename it arm left. So now if we rotate this piece around the axis like this, it's gonna rotate around the origin point, okay? That's this orange point here. It's the orange origin point. So we need to move this origin point to the center, okay, between these 2 pieces. Yeah, first let's apply the mirror modifier. Apply the mirror modifier. And let's go to edit mode. And I want that the pivot point rotate around here, right? In the middle of this piece, like around here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select these 2 vertices here. So if I move the 3D cursor to the select edges, it would move here, in the middle of, in between these 2 edges, okay? but I want it to be in the middle of these two pieces here, the bottom one and the top one. So I'm gonna also select those two edges. Okay, and now if I press Shift S and cursor to selected, the cursor is gonna be right in the middle of these faces. And I'm gonna add one empty object to work as the controller, okay, of the rotation of this arm, the left arm, the right arm. Okay, so let's add one empty plane axis, plane axis, okay. And this axis is gonna be added right in the 3D cursor here in the middle. And now we have to align this empty object to these two faces, okay? Because these faces, they're not like they're not in the same axis, right? They're like a little shifted. So let's rotate this empty object in the Y direction like this. I think like this. Okay, so we're gonna rotate following this axis here of the empty object, okay? So now when we rotate the empty object, we want to rotate both the arm and those pieces. And I almost forgot, we have to separate this side from this side, okay? So let's go to edit mode. I'm gonna select using the X-ray mode, okay? Let's select everything from this side, from the right side. And let's press P to separate. Selection. Okay. And let's name these pieces. I'm gonna call them like bolts. Bolts right. And those ones gonna be bolts left. Okay. And now let's parent both these bolts here and the arm to this empty object. So to do this, press Ctrl P and object keep transform. Notice that I select the empty object after selecting the arm and the bolts. Okay, so Ctrl P and keep transform. Okay, now let's test. If I rotate this, press R, Z, but I want the Z of the object, okay, not the global Z. So I press Z again, and now it's gonna follow that axis there. So if I rotate, look at what's gonna happen. Yeah, it rotated around that axis. Okay, so this way, if you want to render the glasses both like with the arms closed or open, we can do it very easily just rotating this controller here. So I'm gonna undo this rotation, and let's do the same thing to the other side. So let's quickly do this. I'm gonna fast forward this part, okay, because it's gonna be exactly the same thing we did on the right side. So let's do it. And one hint I wanna give you is that sometimes when we try to scroll to get closer to your object, you can't do it anymore, right? I'm scrolling here and I can't go any further. So to focus in one object, you have to press the dot button, okay, on the numpad. Then you can scroll until you focus in your object. So let's keep going. Okay, now let's parent again. Those two pieces, the arm, and let's select the empty. Ctrl P, object keep transform, R to rotate, Z 2 times, and it's working. Okay, perfect. Let me just organize here these empties because they are outside my collection. So I'm gonna drag it here. And I'm gonna call this one the right controller. And this one's gonna be the left controller. And I'm gonna also create another collection inside the eyeglass collection so we can separate different parts of our glasses. Create new collection. This one's gonna be named arms. So I'm gonna drag both arms inside the arms collection. Oops, let's drag everything, the bolts and the right arm as well. Arm right and the bolts right. Okay. It's missing those two pieces. Gonna drag it there as well. This one. Okay. Okay, now if you wanna hide them, it's easier because they are all of them are in the same collection. Okay. We're done. That's it. We modeled the entire glasses. The next step now is gonna be to add materials. Okay. I'm thinking if I should make the material exactly like this reference here, or if I should try to create something different. Not sure. Let me see that other image. So this one here. Okay, let's start by the lenses. So let's select our lenses, save, and let's add material to our lenses. So let's go here to the shading mode. Let's go to the shading tab here and let's add a new material. Let's call it lenses. And because it's gonna be procedural, I don't think we're gonna need to UV unwrap. But let's do a quick unwrap here. So front view, select everything, press U, and let's project from view like this. So our lens is gonna be exactly like this. So let's go to our shading tab again. Let's go to the render mode here. And let's change the Eevee engine to cycles, okay? Because in cycles we can render glasses, okay? So let's choose cycles and I'm gonna pick here my GPU as the device, so it's gonna render faster. And also I want to add one HDR to bring light to our scene. So let's come here to the world and here in the color, we can control the color of the scene right here, but I want an HDR. So press here in color, environment, and open. And if you don't have any HDR image, I'm gonna leave in the description a link for our website where you can download it for free, okay? So I'm gonna pick this one, interior here. And now I wanna hide the HDR, okay? So let's go to, where is it? I think it's here in render. Go to film and transparent, okay? So now we have all the lighting coming from the HDR, but we can see it. Now we can start adding the material to our lenses. So let's make it transparent, increasing the transmission here like this. Let's decrease the roughness and let's add some color. Let's try to pick this color here. Okay, it's a little too dark, but we're gonna add one gradient in our lenses because you can see that the top part is darker than the bottom part. So let's achieve this by adding one gradient. So first select your principal BSDF, press Ctrl T. So automatically you're gonna add those nodes here. But for this shortcut work, you need to activate here in Edit Preferences. You need to activate this Node Wrangler add-on, this one here. Okay, so activate it if you don't have it yet. And you can use those comments like the one I use right now. that is Control T, and this texture coordinate node and the mapping node gonna be added automatically. Let's delete this image texture node and let's add one gradient texture node. And if you want to see how the output of one node looks like in your image, press Ctrl Shift and click with the mouse, okay, with the left button. And here you can see how the gradient looks like. It's like vertical, so I need to rotate it. So let's, instead of using UV, let's use object. Okay, now I need to rotate. I think in the Z axis, no. It's gonna be in the Y axis. Okay, but I want the top part to be darker. So we need to go to minus 90. Minus 90. Like this. Minus 90. And let's move it down. Move it down in the X direction like this. Let's add one color ramp so we can change the colors. So let's drag it here and add a color ramp. And let's connect it to the base color. And let's connect back the principled BSDF to the output. Okay, now the top is completely black and the bottom is completely transparent. And I think the transition is not so smooth. So you need like to give a zoom in here in this transition to make it smoother, right? And okay, yeah, I need to move this up and decrease the Z scale. Okay, let's keep doing this. Let me type here 0.05. Okay, yeah, now we have it's both a transition, right? Yeah, like I think this value is good, minus 0.1 here, right? Seems good. I'm gonna bring back the background because I want to see how the glass is reacting to the background. So let's try to change the colors. Gonna increase here the saturation. Let's see which color is this. Okay. And here let's use something similar, but let me bring it closer to 0, to white. Yeah, I think we're okay. Let's not take too long here. Okay, I'm gonna change this color. I'm not enjoying this color. I want something more vibrant. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like this. Now let's move to the rim. The rim looks like plastic, so let's add new material. Let's choose a color similar to this one, like this. And to make it more realistic, I'm gonna add some noise in the texture, so it's not like perfectly smooth. Needs to have some perfections. So let's add one noise node. Once again, let's press Ctrl T. Let's choose object here. And let's see how our noise texture looks like. So Ctrl Shift and right click. Yeah, maybe let's decrease the scale. No, increase the scale. So this little dot's gonna be smaller. like this. Let's connect it to a color ramp. And instead of making the darker parts completely black, let's make it more darker gray. And the white part, let's bring back to, I think, around here. Okay, and let's connect this output to the roofiness. And also let's connect it to the bump node. Let's bring a bump node. Let's connect it to the height. And the output of the bump node, let's connect to the normal. Okay. Now let's decrease the strength to 0.1 maybe. Even smaller, 0.05. Okay. Yeah, I think we're fine now. So I'm gonna name this, I'm gonna name it rim material. And I think this part here has the same material, right? This one. So let's add the same material to this portion here. Let's add the rim material. And now let's go to editing mode. Let's go to editing mode. Let's select only this region here using the X-ray mode. Oops, like this. Okay. And let's add a new material only to this area. So click aqui in new. Let's create a new material and press assign. So this area here gonna have a different material. It's gonna have this other material here. That's a lighter yellow, right? So let's do this. So let's once again press Ctrl T. Let's connect the object output. Let's replace this image texture here to a noise texture. Ctrl Shift left click. And let's do the same thing. Let's add one. Color ramp. Oops. Color ramp. Let's connect it to the roofiness. Let's connect the BSDF to the output. And let's pick this same color here. Okay, this color. Let's change this completely black to darker gray. And this white, let's also bring down to around here. Let's add the same material to this piece here. This one. New. This material. Oh, and for the lenses, we have to select here the face select mode. Press L here. And for this region, let's add a new material. Let's select the lenses and assign. And now let's do the same to the other side, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing here on the other side. Okay, what else is missing? This metallic part here. Can just make it like metal. This piece has some details, small details here, but I can see it very clearly. what it looks like. It's like little squares. I'm gonna just make it metallic, okay? So let's add metallic material here. Let's call it metallic. Let's try to pick that color, and let's increase the metallic, decrease the roughness a little, maybe. Not so much. And now this front region here, it also has a little detail. Let me see in this image here. It has like two metallic rectangles here. So let's do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this piece, Shift D. Okay, go to edit mode, select everything, scale it down. Bring it in front a little, GY. I'm gonna scale it down in the X direction, like this. Like this. Oops. Now I'm gonna go to edit mode. I'm already in edit mode, right? So let's move it in the X direction to the right a little. And let's add one mirror modifier. Like this. Gonna drag it back a little. GY. SZ. GX. Let's go back here to the render view. And this bigger piece gonna have the same material as that yellow one, this one. And these two little pieces, it's like metallic. So I think I'm gonna add the same metallic material like this. Yeah. Oh, it's missing only this little pieces here. This one. I'm gonna add the same green material. And these ones, I'm gonna add the same yellow material, this one. Okay guys, I think we're done. Let me check again this reference image. Yeah, this glass it is really like flat. It has no curve, right? So I don't think you need to add like to make it curved here. I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay. Very flat. Like straight. We add materials to everything. And as always, you can't change these materials to anything you'd like. Okay. The good thing about 3D modeling is that after we have the 3D model, we can make multiple versions of that thing, just changing the materials. So I'm gonna leave it like this, and I'm gonna render it after, and we're gonna see the result in the beginning of this video. So guys, this was our first glasses. I also intend to make that meta glass, the one with Ray-Ban. You know, that one with a little camera here on the side. So depending on how well this tutorial gonna do, I can make the tutorial with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, okay? So guys, don't forget to give a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment as well. I really like when I receive feedback from people who watch my tutorials, okay? So bye bye, see ya.